Hi there, welcome to the channel. Today I've got a lovely project to share with you. I'll be showing you exactly how to draw this adorable Jack Russell Terrier from start to finish. Whether you're just getting into drawing or whether you've been at it for a while, you're in the right place. I'll guide you through every line and every shape, nice and slow, so that you can draw along with me. So grab your pencils, get comfy, and let's get started. Okay, so I've pretty much got the areas mapped out now. They're very light, they need more work, they need to be made a bit more intense, but they're there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in with the burnt ochre, the sort of orangey brown colour, whatever pencil you're using for that, and I'm going to just start to intensify the colours a little bit. So let's work back down here for a start. I'm just very gently just letting the pencil just drift off the edge of the shape and into the side of the face. And then just working back over and making it a little bit more intense. I'm going to work back into this bit up here as well. Need to bring a bit of the orange colour into this bit. And I'm just looking for anywhere that the fur is just a little bit more of a brighter rusty orange colour. Bringing that in, there we go. We also need to just bring a little bit of it down under here as well. I'm not really working under the eye just yet, but I'll bring a bit in down here. I'm going to come in with the much darker colours around the eye in a minute and then bring them up into this bit at the top as well. But before I do that, I'm going to come back to my cold grey 5 and I want to just bring a bit of the slightly lighter grey. It's still a dark grey, but it's obviously not as dark as the cold grey 5 or the Payne's grey or even the dark sepia and the black that's going to go in here as well. So I just want to start to bring a little bit of this grey around the edge of this eye, because I've got to make this eye look like it's part of the fur like this one. I've got to actually sort of set it into the head now. So I'm going to bring some of this grey pencil, this cold grey 5 it is, around the edge of the eye. And at the same time, I'm going to use a bit of this. This is the sepia 50% that we were using just down the side of the eye down here. I want to sort of keep that lovely eyelid around there. Bring that down. And then back to this cold grey 5. It's just going to help create a nice transition between the lighter orange colours and the dark colours that are going to go in here. It's just sort of a halfway between, something that I'm going to be able to work those dark colours into. starting to sort of set the eye into the head. I'm just using backwards and forwards colouring strokes, little scribble strokes really, just to get some of this darker colour down. I'm just looking where this darker grey bit comes down underneath. So we've got the lovely bits of feathered bits that are working, coming right off the side of the eye here, sort of working out into the nose, and then the eye, we've got the dark bit, and then this grey just very gently starts to come down and very gently starts to curve out a little bit, just to suggest the curve on the dog's face. So I'm just very gently bringing that down a little bit there. I'm going to get a bit darker again now, and I'm going to use the Payne's Grey from the Polychromos, and I'm going to use the dark sepia from the Polychromos. I will end up probably going in with some of the black as well, but I want to just see how dark this sort of mix of lovely charcoal colour once I mix these two colours. So this is the Payne's Grey first, and I'm going to just work over the top of this this eyelid. Just get a little bit of this really dark colour around the edge of the eye, just shaping the edge of the eye whilst I'm working. I've got a nice sharp pencil because I've got to get quite fine pencil strokes in there. Just going to shape the edge of this eye, looking at that reference photograph every couple of seconds to just shape the edge of that. And bring a little bit of it down underneath as well. I'm just adding a little bit of the Payne's Grey into that highlight. I don't want that highlight to be too light there, and I could see now that, you see, I'd sort of plotted everything in and left it, but as I'm starting to get everything in around it now, and I'm starting to get the eye in context and to set the eye into the face, I can see, or I could see, that that highlight was just a little bit light. The other thing that I can see is that the highlight on this side here is too light. That's just jumped out at me. So this is that sepia 50%, and I'm just going to add a bit of that into the corner of that eye there. Just take that down, and then back with the Payne's Grey, just because I've got that in my hand, just to put a bit of texture back into the corner of that eye there. There we go. You just see that that was too strong there. So yeah, I've just put a little bit of the blue over there, and I'm just going to bring a little bit of the Payne's Grey around and underneath. And then I'm going to switch to the dark sepia. And I'm going to, again, just put a sweep of it over that eye socket there. And then just bring some of this darker colour around the edge of the eye. Just want these pencil strokes to curve around. Just feather out the edge of the eye, thinking about, do I need to reshape the eye as well? So I'm just working the pencil stroke, just blending out the edge of the eye. It's not really reshaping the eye, to be honest. It's just blending out the edges, making them look a little bit softer. Bring in the darker bit. Just using little pencil strokes that are just flicking off at the end to bring the darker bit right on top of the eye socket there, and then that's going to curve all the way around and come back towards the edge of this eye. It's actually sort of curving around the top of that eye socket. I don't need to get it perfect first time. I can do a little bit, have a think about it, come back and adjust it if I need to come back and adjust it. It's better to do that. I find it's much better to do that than to just sort of, you know, work on an area and then finish it and move on. That doesn't really work for me. It may work for you, but it doesn't. It just doesn't work for me. I'm going to bring this dark a bit right down the edge of the eye, but I'm leaving a tiny little gap. Can you see right on the edge there where I put that sepia 50%? That's the skin right on the edge of the eye. I want that to stay. I'm going to bring this darker bit right off the bottom of the eye around here. Darken it down. And again, when I work off the bottom of the eye, I need to just start to feed some of these pencil strokes into this lovely wispy bit that's coming out onto the nose. So when I work on these feather bits, I just very gently flick that pencil backwards and forwards so that I'm getting wispy pencil strokes on both sides of, wispy ends on both sides of the pencil stroke. And then that's going to help me create a nice wispy edge on the nose. I don't want too much dark sepia going in here. Don't want it to get too dark. I want it to just be dark enough in areas that I need to shape things. This has got to go a little bit darker right in the corner down here. So just bring that down, bring the edge of that eye down. There we go. And then I'm just sitting back and I'm just having a look at the eye as a whole to see what I do or don't need to adjust. Just having a look at the shape of the eye. Really dark up on the top. And this upper crease on the upper eyelid obviously comes down, doesn't it? Comes down the side of the eye down here. Because the eyeball's sort of blocked by this bit of skin on this side. So we're not seeing all that. So I've got some of the dark in under the eye with the dark sepia, and I put a little bit of Payne's grey in there as well. I want to use this dark sepia and I want to bring it up into this bit under the ear as well. So I'm back to my little circular strokes right on the edge. It's going to be quite fuzzy right on the edge here, and then I'm going to work over in those. I'm working in ovals, so I was just about to say directional strokes, but it's actually ovals, but I'm curving the ovals over in the direction that I want them to go. So let's get a darker bit that's working up to this top of this ear. Let's just darken down. I don't want it to go too dark. I don't want it to go, I don't want it to go black. I don't want it to go really, really dark, but I do need to get some depth in there. And I can always come back and add more depth in, add, a darker value in there afterwards. But I don't want to take it that dark just at the minute. I'm just going to work around the top of this eye socket again. Fairly flat pencil strokes, and then they start to curve around and start to move up towards the top of the head. Just using little backwards and forwards pencil strokes. I've got a little bit of texture coming through. I've got a sharp pencil, but it has got a very sort of, I don't know if I turn it, there you go. You can just sort of, I don't know if you can see, that tiny little flat end on the end. It's like an angled end. I just call it a chisel tip. That's the first thing I think of, like a chisel, when I think about it. It's just got that little angled end on the end. So even though the pencil's sharp, I've got quite a flat end that's just giving me a lovely, slightly broader pencil stroke than as if I was to turn it around and use the point. Nice little flat pencil end, which is giving me a nice coverage down on the paper. And then I want to make sure that it becomes a little bit wispy, feathers in. So I'm just going to use this dark sepia and let some of the pencil feather down into this orange section. Don't want to put too much in. And when we get right to the end here, it starts to curve up towards the top of the head. So I'm changing the angle of the pencil strokes. I'm working up towards the top of the head. So you can see a lot of that orange that we put in at the start, that burned ochre colour, it has been covered up, but it's really worth putting it in because it's still coming through some of those little hairs. So as we build the darker hairs in, those little bits of orange come through and it helps create that volume. I don't just want to go into here with a really solid coverage of the brown or the black, or, you know, I want those other layers underneath to show through. I'm going to come back with the burnt sienna and bring a bit of depth into this side of this nose again, this slightly darker bit there, right on the side of the nose. I can take the burnt sienna over the dark sepia. That's fine. I'm going to take the burnt sienna up here as well. So I'm sort of using circular strokes right on the edge, but then working back down with directional strokes as I come back down into the face. There we go. I'm going to bring a bit of the cinnamon in over here. This is the cinnamon from the polychromos, and I'm going to bring a bit of cinnamon right over the top of this eye socket here. Bring it down the side as well. And I'm just looking for areas that I can see need to go darker to just help to sort of put this eye into the head. We have got some eyelashes that are coming off there. It's a slightly darker bit just down the edge of the eye. I've gone in with the black right at the end because I don't want to put the black everywhere. I think I said as I was working on the other side, you know, you don't need to go in really, really heavy with the black to make something look black. I've got the other colours down underneath. I've got the Payne's grey, I've got the dark sepia in there, and I'm just using the black right at the end to just, I was going to say lift the areas, but of course it's darkening down the areas, but it's just sort of darken those dark areas, those dark spaces with just a tiny little bit of black. That's all I really need to do. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of black right up onto the top up here now. So I'm going to work around the edge of this eye socket. I'm going to go nice and dark behind the eye socket, coming over at that angle, quite a flat angle. Just making those little scribbles backwards and forwards again in the fur. Just building a little bit of texture into the fur. I don't want to put the black everywhere. I want to just bring a bit of the dark colour through. and make sure it just feathers down into this fur. And up right to the top of the head. When I get right up to the top of the head up here, it's just little dots that I'm putting in really. Just dotting that right on the edge, right on the top of the head. Curving it over, letting it very gently join up with the dark bit on the other side. And I might just need to refine that a little bit, so I'm just bringing that pencil around, letting it feather down. And I'm just checking the other side as well. I'm always checking bits that I've already done, just to make sure that I'm happy with them now that I've put another area next to it. It could be that, you know, I've put another area in and I think actually that area needs refining quite a bit, and I'll have to go back and refine it. And never stop looking at the whole picture as a whole, the portrait as a whole, until I'm ready to put those pencils down right at the end. Until that point, I'll just go back over. I may not need to do anything, but I'll just keep checking it. I'll keep checking and checking that I'm happy with all the areas that are around the area that I've been working on. I'm just using tiny, tiny little flicks of the pencil stroke here to bring in a few more of those dark bits. So we're just drawing those darker hairs, and I'm bringing a couple of black bits in. I don't need the black everywhere. It's going to look a lot more natural for me if I've put in those other colours like, you know, the dark sepia, the dark greys that we've been using, the dark browns that we've been using. I'm going to get a more natural range of values, range of tones, range of colours in there. I will just very gently let this pencil just creep out and into this lighter bit. Remember, I've got no base layer in there, so all I'm doing is just letting the pencil just sort of creep over here and there, create little feathered pencil strokes. To just suggest these dark colours feathering off and into the white fur. Same on this side. I might just need to go back and just extend those out just a little bit more. I do need to be mindful that I am working with the black, and obviously that could get really, really heavy. And so it's the lightest of touch with this pencil. That's all I want to do. And to be honest, I only want to put the black down in this light area once I know that I don't want to put any other colours in the light area. I've already put like the burnt ochre, I've already put some of the greys or, you know, the browns in there. I want to make sure that I use the black right at the end when I'm working on this light area, because if I put the black down and then I decide actually I need some burnt ochre or I need some blues or, you know, any colours in there, all I'm going to do is just smudge that black pencil, and obviously that's not going to be good. This black pencil has got to go in right at the end. So it's definitely a good idea to just sort of hold off. I could just put the colours in and then just work all the way around the edge and sort of start feeding it into the light area afterwards. I could do it that way. There's no right or wrong way to do it. For me, it just works as I'm working on an area to just sort of start feeding it off and into the space. But I definitely don't want to put too much in there. I am just going to bring a little bit of the warm grey, and I am just going to feather out these edges that have been creeping into the lighter area. So I just want to take a lighter pencil and sort of blend the blended areas, if you see what I mean, blend those feathered areas. And just let that work in to the lighter area. What I've got is a couple of pencil lines there. Get rid of those. A couple of graphite pencil lines. Get rid of those. And then just feather this bit. I've got a bit more work to do on this bit down here, haven't I? But I can very, very gently run the pencil over the edge. And as I bring this orange, for instance, here, as I very, very gently start to blend the edge of that, because I've put all that pencil down really, really lightly, I start to pull it in. I start to bring it into the lighter area, and that's gives me a little bit of colour. It's almost as if I'm borrowing the colour. You can see there, I didn't put any orange down. I didn't put any burnt ochre down there. But what I've done is I've just sort of let this pencil, this warm grey one, very gently encroach over into the orange side, and then just started to gently pull it back. And you can see I'm pulling a bit of the orange with it. Same over here. If I do the same over here, now I do need to be careful because obviously I have put black pencil in there, and I want to be really, really careful that I don't smudge that too much. I am being quite careful. But if I, again, just pull this pencil from this side in the direction that I obviously want these little wispy bits to go, so I'm going up, across, and then coming down. But what's happening is I'm just picking up a little bit of that burnt ochre and that orangey brown colour that I put in to this space. I put that down really, really lightly, and I'm just picking it up and I'm just bringing the tiniest little bit of it into the light area, and it's just tinting the edge. And that's just enough colour for me to, to sort of have it blend over and feather over. That's all I need. I'm making sure that even when I put these pencil strokes in, I'm not putting a solid coverage with this warm grey one in here. I'm sort of using backwards and forwards strokes, and I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but can you see a lighter bit there and then the darker bit? So even with this, I'm sort of using this to draw the darker bits of this light fur, and it's working quite nicely. I'm just using backwards and forwards scribble strokes, but creating that texture at the same time. So bringing this around, I'm just going to go back up and blend this eye a little bit as well. And I can put the light over the dark. I don't know if you just saw that then, but I've just put this warm grey one over that. I don't know if it was black or cold grey 6, whatever I was using. It was very dark anyway. I can bring the light colour over the top of that. You can put light colours over the top of the pencil to a certain extent on the hot press paper, which is what we use. And I'm just going to blend the side of that eye as well. And I find it really, really useful to use these lighter colours to just sort of blend. I'm also just going to have a look very, very gently, just running this pencil down the side of the eye there and just blending the side of that, eye. I'm going to bring the ivory in again and blend this light patch and the bit that's over the eye actually with this ivory. So let the ivory run over. I can let it run up and into this dark colour. You can see it's lightening it a little bit. It's blending out the grain. I'm not pressing on hard. I've got the pencil tipped over, so I can't get the pressure down anyway. I don't want to press on hard. All I want to do is just blend and lift a little bit of the colour, so lighten it a little bit. So I've just taken the ivory up and into that dark. I've got to get a bit more dark up there and make it a little bit darker. And when you put the lighter colour over the top, you will lighten it, but you can always go back in and blend. I'm not pressing on hard. You can see I can't press on hard because I've got the pencil tipped over on its side. So I definitely don't want to press on hard. I'm not trying to crush the paper. I'm not trying to press down really hard to burnish. I'm just blending. That's all I'm doing, just blending. just running that pencil over that paper to blend. Let's just blend this little bit around here as well. I will have to go back in and top some of the darker bits up, but that's fine because I'll be going back in and working on a nice blended surface. So I'm just blending that out. There we go. So you can see, even though I worked on this, you know, last time, and I'd almost pretty much finished it, you know, it was almost there. But now that I've got this side in, I want to just sort of go back over it and work on it together so that I can just make it look quite harmonious and make it look like, you know, the two sides of the drawing do belong to each other. I don't want to just sort of work on one side and then say, right, that's it, I'm finished, and never come back to it. Might work for you, you know. I'm not saying that my way is the only way to draw. It definitely isn't the only way to draw, but it's the way that works for me. And I like to, even though I'm working on one area, I like to always be looking at that bigger picture. I have obviously blended this now, so I do want to come back. This is back to the burnt sienna, and I want to make sure that I've got the orange. Well, this is the burnt sienna, this is the brown colours, but I want to make sure that I've got those brown colours back in and the orange colours. But it's very easy to just come back over it. It's very easy to just come back over it and just top up those colours. But everything's just a little bit more blended now. Same on this side. Let's bring that burnt sienna over, just topping it all up. Just little backwards and forwards scribble strokes to just put a bit of texture back in. And just tidy up the edge where I started to feather that in. There we go. I'm just going to come back to this light ultramarine, and I'm just going to bring a little bit more of the blue colour right up on the top up here. This lovely light ultramarine colour, because it's quite shiny. The black's quite shiny up there, and as it's shining up there, it's looking a little bit blue. I've already got it in over here. I can top that up a little bit as well. So there we go. Right, I think that will probably do for the minute. I've definitely got to make this a little bit darker. This is back to the dark sepia just wasn't talking, but I've definitely got to make this a little bit darker around here. But I'll be able to see how dark I need to make this when this ear is in. So what I think I'm going to do is that will do for the top of the head just for the minute. Like I say, I'll always come back and have a look at it, but that will do for the top of the head for the minute. And I think I'm going to have a look at these two ears. So let's move on to the ears and we'll see where we go from there. And that's it for this part of the tutorial. Thanks so much for drawing along with me. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part of our Jack Russell project. I'll be back soon with the next video, but if you're itching to start another drawing in the meantime, head over to my website or check out my Patreon page. You'll find lots more tutorials and exclusive projects waiting for you there. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.